Hello model railroaders. It's Dave. Welcome back to the layout. Happy Canada Day. I'm taking the long weekend availability to get back to work on the layout and fill in some of the holes that I've not progressed with or redirected myself from. One of those was I wasn't happy with the foam stepped riser for the trestle bridge, and I wanted to just go ahead and make it out of wood to get the tolerances a little better for the I think they're bents. I'm going to go with bents that come close to the ground, or should be touching the ground in most cases. And the foam just wasn't working out. It was very difficult to do it all as one piece. So as you can see, I've got the layered wood and all the glue is set now. So I did have to make some tweaks to get everything to seat properly, and I'll have to do a little more sanding to bring some of the levels down where I've had to dig in with a bit on the Dremel tool to make the bents actually not be hovering, get the ones that were needed to be recessed in a little bit done to bring all the other ones down so that they were touching. So what's going to happen here is, once I've got the sanding all done, which is not going to happen at the moment because we're about 34 Celsius with the humidex of about 44 Celsius. So no garage work is happening today, but I do want to sand, now that I've got everything glued together, sand everything smooth and spray paint it a gray base color. So what I'll do is I'll be back in a moment and we show you where this is going on the layout and what needs to happen to get this and the track work integrated so we can get the top of the logging run all finished off. So back in a moment. Okay, so we're back in position on the layout, and this is essentially where the trestle bridge is going to reside. Now, the whole thought initially for the trestle bridge was to have a ravine type crevice that would run in behind the trestle bridge, causing the realistic need to have a trestle bridge. So that still has to have lots of work done on it, of course, but getting the trestle bridge in place is the primary need at the moment. Now, I had, as you can see by the rough contour there, chopped off this piece because the previous riser for the trestle bridge bents were definitely not as big as the I'll say the quote 1x4, which truly is not 4 inches wide. However, I'm going to have to chop some more out of the foam to make room for it to slide back and finish lining up, because as you can see right here, there I'm about an inch or so out of placement, though I do believe if I line up I'm probably maybe 1/8 of an inch out on that end in my alignment with the track that is already secured to that foam riser. So I do have to play with it a little bit, but I do believe I need to saw a chunk out of that foam. At least I've got the room behind it, so I can just take that whole section out with the handsaw and have room to position this where I need it, and then I can mark the plywood and realistically I'll drill some pocket holes in the side and screw it down to the plywood beneath. So I'll be back in a moment. Hello, model railroaders. Yesterday is now today, or today is now tomorrow, however that works out. A dead battery terminated my videoing last night, so this is what I've accomplished so far since the last recording. I've countersunk in that bit of previous scenic expanse. Not looking too bad. The groove, I can contour that down and fill that in, so I'm not too worried about getting everything to match. That's a very minor thing, but I am liking the look. If I'm standing with the camera at eye level, for me anyway, then that has a fairly good shape to it. Now I have no idea how I'm going to contour this down, but I'm not too worried about that right now. It's more getting the track laid out where it would realistically look. Now what I've had to do is I took another big notch out here as a guesstimation, but as you can see by the little black marks, I still have to take more out and angle it in a little differently for that depth to work out right. But looking down this track, I've got it laid out fairly straight in line with the trestle bridge, which was the intent, is getting that angle sorted out, and then I can chunk more out of the foam, but I wanted to ensure I had left a fair bit down here to not have the tie ends right at the edge of the drop off, because that wouldn't be, even though this is all fantasy, you want to try and make it as realistic as possible. So that's where I'm at now. Now I do have to cut some track, but this short picot turnout will sit right about there, and I'm hoping, if my measurements are correct, that my distance from here to this outside tie edge will leave me about a ½ inch past where I'm at here. So that's my next big attempt, is to get that foam cut out to the right spacing. And what I want to have is about 24 or 25 inches ideally from the edge of the turnout there to the end of where the track will abut into the hillside. And that way I can get the 7 logging cars to sit down there. And the intent is, I'm not too worried about having any track feeder lines in this section at all, because the engine, the loco, shouldn't be continuing past the end of here, and we've got pickup line leads well within the length of powering this little bit of track. So it's more just going to be pushing cars up, uncoupling, and I've got, if I use that loco, and bear with me while I zoom in for you, if I use that Mikado unit, the box car behind it is the sound car for that. So really it'll be that sound car that'll be pushing any of the quote empty logging cars down the siding and then picking up, latching on or coupling onto and pulling out the full logging cars. So it'll bring empties in and pull full ones out, and then it will alternate, and that's why I want the two lines, just to make it a little more realistic, because if it's coming up with empties, of course it's going to pull full ones, but it's got to be able to pull the full ones and still place empties. So I need that turnout to provide the dual track for that to occur. So more than likely this whole spot here, which I may just even go ahead and do, is just contour this whole bit of foam back and just completely remove it to give a flattish expanse where the loading activity would take place. So I may just avoid and just follow along with the pink and just take that whole bit out. I don't know. I'll probably, for the moment, just ensure that I've got my 1 inch from wherever this track edge is here, and then just notch that out, and ensuring that I've got my 25 inches, and worry about the rest later, and just worry about the track for now, and then getting it glued down. Now I do have a joint right across here, so the track will be glued down here and then glued down here, and the rail where it's cut and joins here, I'll have to make it so that I can push the rail joiners up the rail to be able to remove this whole section of track and the trestle bridge, so that that is removable. And I've started, I've glued this base down and weighted it overnight so that I can start contouring out the bits here as the step up occurs on the for the bents. So as I slip things, the foam back in, I'll notch it out, and that way that will be roughed in, and then I can contour the rest of it at a later point. And of course we've got this whole cavity that either I have to fill in or do something with. I'm thinking of using a previous Hunterline kit that I've made and actually making that more of a single lane drivable bridge of going across the where the rails would go, and filling all that in and putting some sides on it, and whatever I channel out for the crevice of having it kind of sit down in there to allow would be the workers to travel from one side of the plateau to the other. But that's a little ways down the way, or I may just use this other Hunterline kit here and put some more wood on it, and it depends which one will look the best and how big of a cavity I cut. But I do know I've got to line it with rock, so that will make a decision on how much foam is extracted. And I'm not too worried about doing all the foam contouring right now. It's more just, as I mentioned, to get this bit of track done and settled, so that when I get more foam, that I can remove this temporary piece that I've got here and cut a new piece and bring it all the way out, and then fill this whole void up, going, well, that'd be the 8 feet here, and then cutting another piece to fill in the back, just to raise that whole section up. And that's, right now I'm just deciding if that's the industry track plan that will end up staying or not. I'm just kind of letting it sit there and glance at it and think about it before I get into the securing of the track. I need to pick up more track anyway, and there's September, October are really the next model train shows where I can pick track up for a price I'm willing to get it. So I'm not too focused on working on this area because I literally don't have enough track. I need to pick more up, and the budget is pretty minimal at the moment, so I need to build up those funds. But there's lots of other stuff to work on. I've unboxed predominantly all of my city structures. They're all the DPM kits, and some of the I want to say model power kits. Could be lifelike model power, whichever. They're already the pre-assembled kits, I believe. That will be the city area that I'm thinking of putting in here. I've already and my houses that I'll probably lay down in this area, make it a more rural setting. And for one of our vendors had a little maze that they've done up, and then of course the caboose that has been made into a park area fast food joint vendor, I guess. So somewhere I need to do a little park, and then that'll be dedicated to my wife's late father, and make up a little sign for that. But while I was digging things out, I've figured I'd make this a little more city-ish with some of the DPM structures on the opposite side of the passenger terminal. I don't really have a station per se that I envision here, but I figure that won't look too bad. It'll give the flavor. Again, everything is just dynamic at the moment because I don't really know what is going to be for sure up on this level. I'm just letting inspiration hit and go with what I like, not with what someone else deems it should be. While I appreciate George Celios's layout and John Allen's layout, I know, or I'm not striving to recreate to their level of realism. It's a hobby for me, and it's not a unlimited funded hobby for me. So scenery, I'm going to try and make things realistic, but it's not going to be as if you're looking out the window or of your car as you're driving past a mainline track out in the country. It's going to have a hint of realism to it and not look toy-like. That's my goal, is for it to not look toy-like, but try and keep within a budget. I'll see if I can achieve that or not. Again, this hobby is so fantastic that you're never going to be done. You can always change and modify whatever you've done to make it more of what you want it to be. And that's why I really love this hobby, that you can make it toy-like, you can make it ultra-realistic with photo backdrops and everything like some of the very well done, realistic looking layouts are that are shown in, say, Model Railroad Hobbyists. And you just find your median between the toy-like loop and the ultra-realistic layout. And that's what I'm going to try, because with the weathering of the cars and the structures, the detail that you want to put into the scenery, it all is a gradiented scale of to how much ambition and thought and realism you want to put in the layout. But it still comes down to what you want to achieve. For myself, as I've mentioned in past videos, I really like running long trains. Like 84 car trains are, I get a charge out of it seeing that go by. So I'm part rail fan, but I want to do a little bit of engineering, which is shuffling things around, which for that you need to have industry to be able to drop. But I'm not to the point of running a timetable yet. So I'm in that median place where some people really like running their timetables. And that's what they want to achieve out of every time they turn the power on to their layout, is to run a timetable and spend 3 hours running the layout. Other people are strictly railfan. They don't have any industry at all on their layout. And so I'm building mine that if I want to in 10 years to run a timetable, the infrastructure will be in place where I can do that, but I still want to enjoy the layout and enjoy learning the different techniques of doing the scenery, of weathering a car. And it's getting over that fear of failure, of taking that jump and just trying it. That you take a car that you're not got a lot of money invested in and give it a try weathering it. And the more you do it, the more better you of the effect you will achieve. And I have literally not done any weathering at all. I've got lots of reference material, and Model Railroad Hobbyists and Train Masters TV are definitely two resources that I've got available to me to visually see somebody apply the weathering on the Train Masters TV. Though about once a year I'll get a month's subscription renewed, and I'll watch all the videos that interest me, and then let it elapse, and then wait till another good group of videos have been generated, and then I'll kind of binge watch, if you will, rather than watching an hour here and there. But still not to that point yet. I definitely want to get back into my casting. I've got my materials down there, my compressor and the paint pot that I've made into a pressure vessel for casting, and my air tank to help me with storing air for the airbrush. So definitely looking forward to getting that airbrush station set up and to start work on different things. But I'm in track mode now, so that's what I'm hoping to accomplish today, is to get this little bit of track from the one side of the trestle bridge sorted out and adhered down on this Canada Day long weekend before other summer responsibilities take over and I have to step away from the layout again, working on it. So till the next video, I hope you're having a great summer and have had a chance to continue with your layout. And if not, when the colder weather comes, I'm sure as we all spend more time inside, or in my case, during the summer, if I can, inside in the air-conditioned basement, to work on your layout, run some trains. About all I've ran is my cleaning car in the last month. I haven't really ran any trains. If I do, I'll try and grab a video of it, a little rail fanning video, but no promises at the moment, with external responsibilities that I have to attend to first, that I've not really had a chance. But as I make some inroads and accomplishments on the layout, I'll definitely bring you along. Till the next video, I hope you guys are having a great summer, and bye for now.